So today we have a pretty big one. I'm actually gonna take you all along with me. We're gonna go out and today we're gonna go out. We have a pretty big job, 16 acres, mulching, clearing everything. It is in Port Arthur, Texas, about an hour and a half away from me. We're already running behind on my schedule. Nobody's meeting me out there. I'm just going out to look at the property. So it's not like I'm running late or anything, but I'm running late for my schedule because it's already 2 o'clock. I already ran another quote this morning. So it's like, we're gonna try to get out there and get some drone shots, get some measurements, all that fun stuff. And I'm gonna take you all along with me. What I look at when I'm quoting a job, things I look for, things to kind of jot down. So I have a general idea of what I need to look for. Obviously, you're always going to miss stuff. It just is what it is. And there's so many moving parts when it comes to these things that sometimes you are going to miss things. Just kind of the best practices that I use because mulching jobs can take months to close, you know, because it's construction. It can be a year later and you get a call. And you have to remember that job. You have to remember everything about it. So basically what I use, what I do to keep track of my jobs, to, you know, the right question to ask. And yeah, let's get out there. We got an hour and 50 minutes actually. It says we'll be there by 3:47, so we'll have a good hour and a half, 2 hours of sunlight. So all of this right here, it kind of makes a U shape. There's no one behind me, so I'm gonna slow down big time. But it makes a big U shape. I'll kind of show you on the map here. So it's kind of like this horseshoe shape. And I'll show you in the drone footages too. Pleasure Island Power Collective C3 substation. So they're going to make this an electrical transfer station. So let's back up here. We have a road back here. You can see how hard it is to see this little drone that's white up against white clouds. We'll stop it there so I can actually have, I didn't realize my hat was crooked, so I can actually have control of it. So I'm just downloading all the videos right now. Although it really doesn't even matter, but photos, let's see what kind of photos we got. Oh, we got really good photos. Okay. I might try to get a couple more. So we know what kind of brush we have. We have really heavy brush with no large trees. You want to look at, like I said, gate access, if your equipment can fit, where you can park, you know, where am I going to leave my truck while all this is going on? If you have to get diesel, how far away is a gas station? How far away are your accommodations? I feel like something that a lot of people oversee is, what kind of terrain is it? You know, down here in Texas, it's very flat, you know, at least in Houston, around Houston, Louisiana area. Very flat terrain. You know, since so much of our terrain is flat, then we don't have to worry about a lot of stuff like that. But this is something right here that is of concern, which is this kind of drainage ditch they have going through here. I can see, and I can tell just by stepping in it, there is standing water in there. So they have like this little creek running through here. I said we are surrounded by the ocean on both sides. So it doesn't surprise me. Lots of trash. That is a huge one. Trash can set you back pretty massively, and there's even a there's even a road sign right there. I was told by someone in the industry, which is very smart, that trash is like an iceberg. If you see some, there's a lot more of it. Trash is huge. Trash is a huge thing. So I'm going to put that down. It looks pretty clear in there. Lots of this is very heavy brush. So you want to pay attention to your wet spots, your dry spots. You know, is it all heavy brush? Sadly, I can't get in here, so I can't really see. Well, I can kind of see. So we can kind of see in here a little bit. But is it all dense? Or is some of it cleared? See, some of that in there is cleared. Not cleared, but clear-ish. Right? And then it goes right back to being heavy. So maybe there's a 1/4 acre in there that is very light brush. That's why you want to walk around the entire property. Not step in massive fire out mounds. Just walk around it. See what you can see, if anything stands out. And then I always do my initial walk, and then we're going to walk around it again. And then the second time we walk around it, we're going to take photos. So it's actually pretty clear right here. If I wasn't worried about snakes, I would walk through there. Look at this area here. This is a nice area. It's very pretty out here. More trash, more trash. Now what you're seeing are bags, trash bags. Stuff like that's not really important. What's important is your barbed wire, your rebar. You know, we are next to a couple busy roads. The last time they tore those roads up, did they just chunk the rebar into the woods? You know, rugs, carpets are a big one. If you're doing mulching, they'll get sucked into your machine like nothing. And they're a pain to get out. Any type of rope, any type of chain link fence, rebar, fencing. These are things that can set you back an hour or two, which, especially during this time of the year when you have limited sunlight massively, that hour or two can be a really big thing. And so those are things you want to look out for. Sadly, I don't really see a part of the property that I can actually walk into. And with a property, you know, if it's only 1 or 2 acres and you can kind of see in like 100 feet, then that's fine. Because then, you know, because an acre's like, I forgot, 244 by 244 or something like that. I'll put it on the screen. But if you can see in 100 or so feet, then you can kind of observe. You know, but when you're talking about 13 plus acres, you can't really just look in and see what the middle of the property looks like. That's why it's also important to have things like a drone, you know. A drone, I can kind of get to the middle of that property and kind of take a look. This is just, now we're on the back right side of the property, or back left. I'll put it on screen what side we're on. Some more trash down here. Remember, trash is like an iceberg, and we are off of a main road. So people are horrible. They will dump mattresses, dump tires. Tires is another, top 3 things I run into is probably tires, mattresses, fences. There's orange tape on the tree in here. How'd they get in there? Oh, that's probably where that guy walked through. Let me see. So we gotta walk back to the truck anyways. You know, what does the ground look like? Is the ground really marshy and wet? Honestly, it kind of is. Yeah, someone walks through here. You can see their big boot prints. Let's get over here. We actually got in here just a little ways, a few feet. It's just so dense. It's really not giving me anything else to go off of. I can't really go that way. That's way too dense. Can't really, I mean, I can probably go that way. I think that's where he went. Yeah, there's orange tape on this tree over here. You can't really see it from this side, but on this tree here, there's orange marking, and on that tree over there. So that could be where they're going to run power. That could be, they could be doing anything. Who knows? This is really dense. Probably have about a half an acre that's not as dense. So that's something to look into whenever I'm doing my quoting. It is kind of marshy. It's not bad. Honestly, mulching would be good for that. The best way to do it, I've done a lot of work with insurance. And if anyone's ever done work with insurance, you know how to take photos really well. Which is, you want to take photos as if it's like a walkthrough. I want to be able to be a third person that's never been here. And I want to be able to scroll through those photos and it basically be like I'm walking here. And I'll take a photo, right? So I'll stop, I'll take a photo, I'll take a photo, I'll take a photo, right? Which is probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to say back right. Then I'll take a picture this way to show that I'm moving. Then I'll come down a ways. Because, like I said, these types of projects can take months to close. They can take a year to close, like you don't know. So, and what if something happens with insurance? What if they try to sue you? There's so many what ifs. You want to make sure you're covered on all ends. You have photos of everything, you have documentation of everything. So then like here we moved around a little bit. So I would stop, I would take a photo, I would take a photo, I would take a photo. I'd mark, center back right. I'd walk forward and I'd do the same thing all the way around the property. When doing pictures for insurance on storm damage or fire damage or whatever, if I didn't have at least 200 photos, I was doing something wrong. There's no such thing as too many pictures whenever you're dealing with this kind of stuff. So I think even if you're not doing YouTube, and stuff, you should still have a GoPro recording, or at least like put a dash cam in your machine, something that can record constantly, because something that destroys a lot of guys in these industries is insurance claims, especially when they don't have insurance. So if something goes wrong, you don't have insurance, you're screwed. I know average industry for million liability and workers' comp, for land clearing and arborist work, and excavation. Here's a helicopter. It's pretty cool. Very loud. It's generally between like 1 and 500 a month for a single person. So for just me, for my business. Now if you have employees, that'll go up. But it's really not that bad. Let's say you're paying $200 a month and then a tree lands on the house. You're going to be pretty happy you pay that $200 a month. And what if you get sued? The customer says you did something, you didn't do it. That's why I have cameras on you, have GoPros on you. Take pictures of everything. I stop in the middle of my jobs and I take pictures of my progress. I send it to the customer. I let them know, like, hey, this is where I'm at. Does everything look good? Because last thing you want is to get through the entire job and the customer comes out and goes, oh no, this is horrible. This is all wrong. In fact, that exactly didn't happen to me on the last job, but on the electrical clearing job, I was going the wrong direction. I was clearing too far straight when I should turn left. You can watch the video. I'll put it up somewhere. And so halfway through the job, I sent her some photos, sent her some videos, like, hey, how does everything look? And that's when we found out we were going the wrong way. So if I would have gotten through that entire day, especially when you're renting equipment, I rent a lot of equipment. And so if you're renting machines, and let's just say it costs you, because a mulcher is generally between $1,000 and $2,000 a day, so let's just say $1,500 a day, and it's supposed to take you 1 day, but now everything you just did was wrong. Now it's gonna take you 2 days. And the customer can sue you for property damage too. I imagine. I haven't had it happen. There's no such thing as being too cautious. I wasn't even recording. So let me do this all over again. I had it in photo mode. You silly goose. And I'll go over pricing and stuff too. Don't think I'm gonna skimp out on that. There is like a state trooper or a game warden or something. He might come down here, but basically, I got my camera in wide angle. We're gonna do a 360. So bam, 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 gonna do a full 360. I'm even gonna take one above the truck just so I can see what's on the other side. So I can kind of use what's around the photo to know where I'm at on the property. So and then we're gonna start by doing this. And if you wanted to get super technical, you could take marking paint or flags, put them in the ground, mark. So we want to stop. We want to take a photo, show that we're walking. You can even do multiple photos. So you can walk some more, grab another photo while you're walking. It's sprinkling on us. Hopefully that game warden doesn't bother us. So we're gonna step back a little bit here. Hopefully that cop doesn't bother us. But we're gonna stop, take our photos, 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna take one to show that we're going this way. Basically, I'm just gonna keep going, and I'll get back to y'all when I'm done. So we're actually around on the front of the property now on the main street. I'm just getting my photos. You know, something to also be wary about is private property. You know, you have to be wary of, this is a mulcher, it throws stuff up to 300 feet. So you've got to be wary of property lines. It looks like they might have staked off the property line right here. The GoPro keeps dying, but like I was talking about, you just have to be wary of the actual property lines. Make sure you get it clear from the homeowner. If everything is staked down, get the site survey, whatever you can. The last thing you want to do is piss off a neighbor, be throwing stuff into their property by accident, the machine throwing stuff into the property. So that's just something that you want to pay attention to, right? But anyways, so that's why it's important to walk the property. Take a look at this. Very marshy. And I can see it extending farther back underneath the poles. That's why it's so important. I mean, this is a few inches deep. I got waterproof boots on, so I'm not worried about it. But this does extend pretty far back. And so here's a better look at the sign here. So we're almost done. We're getting to the very end of the property. So we got all of our photos. We are pretty much out of daylight. Those were in fact game wardens, if you can't tell from my photos. They were pretty cool. They were just like, yeah, usually people aren't back here doing good things. So it was like, we saw the drone. I was like, well, you know, the guy hired me. You know, the guy that owns this property hired me, and I'm just doing my surveying. And surveying is a word that needs to be used lightly because, but, you know, I just kind of let them know that the guy that owns this property hired me, and I'm out here getting all my photos and stuff. And, well, he hasn't hired me yet, but, yeah. So you saw we checked for a lot of things. Trash, entry points, access, property lines, you'll see from my horrible cell phone footage. You know, the type of brush, the type of, if it's heavy brush, light brush, what part of the property is heavy brush and light brush. If it's marshy, if it's wet, if it's high terrain, low terrain, what does the grade look like? I mean, there's so many things. Let me get in the truck because it's cold and there are mosquitoes everywhere. There's just so many things that you want to look out for. You know, I'll kind of just put like my basic list down below, maybe in the description of kind of things I kind of try to check off the list. And there's always unknowns. I can't walk into this property. So that is a huge, huge unknown. I have no idea what I'm getting into when I start coming in here with the machine. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. There's no really way around that. You know, a lot of jobs are like that. You don't really know what you're getting into. A lot of things, I mean, construction's that way. You know, you're just kind of going along, you know, of what's next. But the property looks good. The ground looks good. The ground looks solid. There's a couple marshy spots, wet spots. Not really any big trees, maybe one or two decent sized trees. Very dense. There's probably about an acre of the property that's not as dense. Maybe even 2 acres. I'll have to look back at the drone footage and videos and pictures and whatnot. Got all my photos. I'm just going to do a playthrough at the end of the video so you can kind of see what I was talking about of all the photos. And when it comes to pricing, So go off of your average pricing, get into Facebook groups and look what people are pricing there. I mean, people will be honest and they'll say what they're pricing. Take some photos of some property and post it in a Facebook group for mulching and land clearing and say, hey, what would you guys quote this? There's nothing wrong with doing that. A lot of guys in this industry do help each other out because there's just so much pie to go around. Like yes, the industry can be saturated. It just depends where you are. It depends on your market. Da-da-da-da-da. I think Houston is a fairly saturated market for land clearing, but there's still enough business to go around. I mean, I'm out here working, and so it's just do market research in your area. Like I know for Houston, an acre can be anywhere for mulching can be anywhere between $1,000 for just underbrush, not trees, just the underbrush. Anything 8 inches and under, or 10 inches and under, depending what machine you're using. That can be anywhere from $1,000 to $2,200. Trees and everything can be anywhere from, it just depends. It can be $1,500 to $3,000, maybe even a little more. So it's really, you want to base in what, if you're renting, your rental cost, and always add in an extra day. Always. Just put that in there. Because there's some projects that I'll finish a day early, and there's projects that might run a day late. You never know what you're going to get into. You can get into a ton of trash, ton of rebar. You just never know. And so it just depends. And so when it comes to pricing, I don't really know what I'm going to price the 16 acres at. There's a lot going on here. I mean, we're literally on an island. So I'm going to have to go home and kind of work my numbers and see. I have an idea of what I'm going to price it at. It's going to be, because when you're doing larger properties, you can kind of bundle it together, right? Because you're not just going off of like a daily fixed rate of, for me, it's usually like $1,700. I don't charge by the day, but I like to keep in mind that, like, okay, if I'm out here for 4 days, I'd like to at least make $1,700 a day. How much is that per acre? Da-di-da, and all that math. That's just how my brain works. I'm talking fast because it's already 5:20 and I want to go home. I'm 2 hours from the house. So, you kind of have to factor all that in on, and this is the larger property. It's not just, 1 acre is going to cost more, is probably going to cost pretty close to 2 acres. Because while 1 acre is less, well, there's a minimum I have to hit in order to be profitable on a job. And so 1 and 2 acres might be fairly close to the same price. But it just depends. So look at your market, look at your area. I know that's probably not the answer that you want to hear, but get on Reddit, Facebook groups. Seriously, post a property. Just go out and take a picture of a property in your area. That's something close to your house that you have, you pass by. If you're really worried about pricing, go to a lot near your house, walk around it, take some photos, get on Google Maps and take an aerial photo, like a screenshot, put it in a Facebook group and be like, hey, what would you charge for this? And you can use acres.com. So acres.com is really good. I think it's like $9.99 a month. I use it, and it shows me all of the lot information, the lot size. So it'll actually show me. So I can show y'all, because I need to do that still. Where's my phone? Here's my phone. Okay, so now we're screen recording. So you can kind of see that, it shows everything. So the problem with this is that this is actually still owned by the city. So I can't really see how big this is. Well, there's another way around that. I can go to Google Earth. I mean, I can tap on it and it should pull up information, but we're also, there we go. So this will show 35.2 acres, right? For this piece of land around the edge. But so this is still owned by the city, so it's not parceled out yet. It might not be owned by the city at this moment because he might have bought it, or the company might have bought it, or, I mean, the city is probably the one that's building this. So, but we can zoom in here and just click on like Webster School, and it should pull up, or we can even go like out here. Jefferson County, whatever, Jefferson County. Okay, Kirk C. Thomas. So Kirk C. Thomas will tell us 1 acre. 24 acres is this big pond, lake, algae thing, whatever this is. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So if you want to go on and see like actual parcel sizes, you can see like people that own them, like Linda up here. You know, we can click on Linda. Let's deselect all. Let's click on Linda, 12 acres. You know, we can see all the information on our computer. We can actually download all the information. We can download like actual site data and elevation, stuff like that. I know the lighting's probably horrible, but you know, another tool that I use a lot is Dropbox for all my photos. I know it's not the best. Company Cam is better, but I don't know. Yes, Company Cam is better, but I just don't think I'm at the scale yet of needing Company Cam. You know, it's $200 plus a month, and I just don't think I'm there. You know, my CRM, I do use Jobber for my my PRM, you know, my PMS software, my project management software. Keep track of all my customers, my jobs. You can put photos in there too. Jobber's been amazing. I love it. That's like, I think I pay like $250 a month for Jobber, and it's incredible. I don't regret it at all. I think it's a great tool. It's only a great tool whenever you're actually utilizing all that, right? Because $250 a month is a lot. They also have packages for like $150 a month, but you're not, like, they kind of priced it to where in order to get all of it out of it, you really do have to pay for all of it. Like, in order to get a lot out of it, you have to pay for all of it. And so, which is whatever. It's a really good software. And so, honestly, I think the price is justified. You know, Company Cam for photos and stuff, like I said, I just don't think I'm at that point yet of needing it. There's another one, I think it's called Job Site or Job something. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. I've used that before too, but right now I just use Dropbox, and I just use photo albums on my phone. So I can pretty easily like just select everything, put it in a photo album, you know, name it. It gets backed up automatically to Google Drive and Dropbox. I can, you know, share that album with customers, with, you know, guys I have working with me. I can, you know, on, you know, my phone at least, I can take a screenshot and make notes on photos, like whatever the case is. And so, but I just don't think what I'm doing, if I have to do something really complicated, I'm on the job site, right? And so I feel like Company Cam is really to where if I'm more like in the office and I'm not out here working with my guys, and that's where you can make reports and notes and stuff like that for your guys to see. Your guys can take photos for you to see. Everything's updated live. Like, I feel like that's where that really shines. But I'm pretty much at every job, you know, give or take, if I have overlapping or whatever and I got to have a crew go out. But I know this was probably everywhere because I'm extremely ADHD, so if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for bearing with me. You could probably tell that I just jump around everywhere, but you know, I'm definitely not a master in this industry. I haven't been in this industry super long, and so if I'm missing anything, if there's anything down there you would want to add, you know, put it down in the comments below. And if it's something that I normally talk about and I just didn't mention it in the video, like if something I normally think about, then I'll put that in there, because I know I didn't touch everything. There's so many little details that you don't even think about until you get out to the job, and that's what sucks. Like right now I can plan everything, but there's still so many unknowns. There could be a pond in the middle of this property and I have no idea. So that's a problem. So yeah, let me go ahead and drive back to the house, and I'll try to close out this video.